Hello everyone and welcome back. I am Stephen Lind, your English language specialist. Today we are moving from the world of written agreements into the operational reality of logistics and supply chain communication. Last week, we studied the paper side of trade, the contracts that define obligations, liability, and consequences. This week, we study the pavement side of trade. What happens when goods must physically move across borders, ports, and warehouses? In the suit register, logistics is not just about trucks and ships. Logistics is about physical responsibility, meaning who is accountable for what, at each step, and how you communicate that responsibility with clarity and authority. Before we begin, please note these slides include voiceover supported by AI, and the slides contain verbal translation for Arabic. We strive for accuracy and appreciate your graciousness with any errors. My goal today is simple: to give you practical vocabulary, plus the strategic mindset to communicate like a leader. Let's build the bridge between last week and this week. Last week was contracts. We wrote the rules. This week is logistics. We execute the rules. Here is the key idea. A contract can be perfect on paper, but if logistics fail, the agreement can still fail in real life. That risk is often described as a material breach. A material breach means the failure is serious enough that the contract's purpose is not met. In trade, that might mean the goods arrive too late, arrive incomplete, arrive damaged, or never arrive at all. So our objective in this unit is to use strategic clarity to manage delays, anticipate problems, and communicate professionally. Let's start with the front end of the supply chain, the moment before anything moves. First term, procurement. Procurement is the end-to-end process of finding, evaluating, and acquiring the goods or services your organization needs. Inside procurement, you will often hear sourcing. Sourcing is the strategic activity of identifying and selecting the right vendor based on cost and quality. Now here is a term that matters in daily operations: purchase order, often shortened to PO. A purchase order is the formal written document a buyer issues to a seller. The PO is the official trigger that starts the physical logistics process. If you say the PO has been issued, that signals the action is official and the process is moving. Now we move to timing, the heartbeat of logistics. Logistum, key term, lead time. Lead time is the total elapsed time from placing an order to receiving the goods. It includes production, packaging, transit, and clearance. Many professionals confuse lead time with one smaller piece of time: transit time. Transit time is only the movement time. Now the strategy word that protects you: buffer. A buffer is extra time added for safety, because delays happen in real systems. Executive way to communicate this: we have built a buffer into the timeline to protect delivery commitments that signals we planned for risk. Next, storage and supply balance. Key term, inventory management. This is the strategy of balancing storage cost against risk. First, stockout. A stockout is when inventory runs out entirely. It could also be said that something is out of stock. This is high risk because it can lead to missed orders and customer dissatisfaction. Here's an executive example. We are at risk of a stockout on a critical item. We are escalating procurement options today. Second, overstock. Overstock is the cost risk of holding excess inventory, capital tied up in goods that are not moving. Notice the strategic leadership tension. Stockout risk is operational failure. Overstock risk is financial inefficiency. Now the goods begin to move. Our first word is consignment. A consignment is a specific batch of goods dispatched together to a named receiver. Next is freight forwarder. A freight forwarder is the travel agent for your cargo. They coordinate transportation, documentation, and customs. You must know who is coordinating the route and the documents. That is why the freight forwarder is a key stakeholder. Now the most important document in international shipping: the bill of lading, often abbreviated B/L or BL. The bill of lading is a high-formality suit document. It functions as a receipt, a contract, and a title document. Here's some professional phrasing for you to imagine. Please confirm the bill of lading details match the purchase order and the consignment description. You might hear that in a business scenario. Please confirm the bill of lading details. Before we introduce our next term, I want to pause for a moment and connect the vocabulary we just covered. So far we have discussed the how of logistics: how goods move, who coordinates the movement, and which documents travel with the shipment. Now we move to the question that professionals must always be able to answer with confidence. Who is responsible, and when does that responsibility begin? In international trade, confusion often happens because different teams assume different things. One team assumes the seller is responsible until the goods arrive. Another team assumes the buyer became responsible the moment the goods left the factory. This is why strong leaders do not rely on assumptions. Strong leaders rely on clear rules, and then they communicate those rules in executive English so everyone is aligned. That brings us to the most important framework for responsibility in shipping, Incoterms. Now we enter a critical leadership area in global trade, Incoterms. These are standardized rules that define where and when risk and cost transfer. First, EXW, meaning Ex Works. Ex Works usually means maximum buyer responsibility. The seller makes goods available at their premises. Second, DDP, meaning Delivered Duty Paid. Delivered Duty Paid usually means maximum seller responsibility. The seller delivers to the buyer's door. Bonnie, here's some executive phrasing. Under DDP, the seller is responsible for duty and customs clearance. We will hold them to that obligation. In global trade, delays are not rare, they are normal. Leadership shows in how you describe them. Key term, bottleneck. A bottleneck is any point in the supply chain that slows down the entire pipeline. Then identify them early to manage them proactively. A major category of bottlenecks is regulatory hurdles. These are bureaucratic inspections or compliance failures that delay customs clearance. Suit language, executive English would sound like, we are experiencing a regulatory bottleneck at the port of entry, pending customs clearance. Notice what that does. It names the bottleneck, identifies the cause, signals action, and gives a timeline. That is executive communication. Now let's define 3 terms you will hear at borders and ports. First, clearance. Clearance is official permission to allow goods to enter. Second, demurrage. Demurrage is a penalty fee charged when cargo remains at the port beyond the allowed free time. It increases daily. Executive phrasing, we are prioritizing clearance to avoid demurrage costs and protect trade margins. Third, transshipment. Transshipment is unloading cargo from one vessel and transferring it to another at an intermediate port en route to the final destination. Now 2 idioms that show fluency. First, to be on the safe side, meaning to take extra precautions to avoid risk or problems. Here's a professional sounding example to get your ear acquainted. To be on the safe side, we added a 2-week buffer to the estimated lead time. It communicates maturity. And our second idiom is smooth sailing, meaning progress without difficulties, often after a bottleneck has been resolved. To get used to that one, here's a professional example. Once we cleared customs, it was smooth sailing to the warehouse. Use this when reporting stability. Let's conclude with a strategic recap. Logistics is the physical execution of contracts. This vocabulary is leadership equipment. You can now describe the chain using procurement, sourcing, and purchase order. You can manage time using lead time and buffer. And importantly, you understand Incoterms as the rules that determine when responsibility transfers, including the contrast between EXW and DDP. Key reminder, logistics failure can become a material breach risk. So build buffers and communicate delays using executive English. Looking ahead, next week, we move from moving goods to moving money. We will cover presenting financial data and market trends. Shukran. Thank you, and I look forward to our next session.